let's grab our basic instructions before leaving Earth, and let's see what the Creator, Father God, has in store for us today. Yep, went black. Alright, we're in Ezekiel 40. In the 5th and 20th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was smitten, and the selfsame day the hand of the Lord was upon me, and brought me thither. In the vision of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was the frame of the city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thy ears. And here it is again. You have eyes to see and ears to hear. It's the same thing. And hear with thy ears, and set thy heart upon all that I shall show thee, for in the intent that I might show them unto thee art thou brought thither. There declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house, around about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long, by the cubit, and by the hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height with 1 reed. Then came he unto the gate which looketh towards the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. Alright, I got to stop. I got to show you this if I can get my Bible to sit down. Let's see if I can get it. Can you see the cat? Where's that? Oh, there's Buddy. I meant, not Buddy, but... Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get it. There it goes. Alright, move out of the way and let there's the cat down there. Okay, I can't do it. It won't do it. But the cat's down here. And he's playing with Cherokee with Turbo here. Yeah, and they're playing hard too. Oh boy. Let me see if I can't get a little bit of it. There's the cat.
Did you see the dog pull the cat out?
Yeah, she's mean. She's mean to the cat.
But the cat loves it.
Yeah, the cat loves it. Alright, I can't. There it goes. I'm trying to get some of it.
Don't hurt it.
Don't hurt it. Alright, it's gone. Alright, we are on Ezekiel 40 and 8. I'm sorry. I just had to show you. Alright, he measured also the porch of the gate within 1 reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate 8 cubits, and the post thereof 2 cubits, and the porch of the gate was inward. Alright, and the little chambers of the gate eastward were 3 on this side and 3 on that side. They were 3 were on 1 measure, and the post had 1 measure on this side and on that side. And he measured the breadth of the entry of the gate 10 cubits, and the length of the gate 13 cubits. Yeah. Alright. The space also before the little chambers was 1 cubit on this side, and the space was 1 cubit on that side. And the little chambers were 6 cubits on this side, and 6 cubits on that side. He measured then the gate from the roof of one little chamber to the roof of another. The breadth was 25 door against door. He made also posts of 60 cubits, even unto the post of the court around about the gate. And from the fence of the gate of the entrance into the face of the porch of the inner gate were 50 cubits. And there were narrow windows in the little chambers, and to their posts within the gate around about, and likewise to the arches. And windows were round about inward, and upon each post were palm trees. Then brought he me into the outer court, and lo, there were chambers, and a pavement made for the court around about. 30 chambers were upon the pavement. And the pavement by the side of the gates, over against the length of the gate, was the lower pavement. You know something that just now hit my mind? What if he is measuring heaven, or where Christ is, and where we're going to be?
Could be, who knows?
I mean, I know in the New Testament it says mansions, but mansions are just little houses according to the Strong's Concordance. They're not these great big old places. Huh?
Not what we consider.
Right. Not what we consider a mansion. Alright. Then he measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate to the forefront of the inner court without, and 100 cubits eastward and northward. And the gate of the outward court that looked towards the north, he measured the length thereof and the breadth thereof. And the little chambers thereof were 3 on this side and 3 on that side. And the posts thereof and the arches thereof were after the measure of the first gate. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. Alright, now that's my foot. And their windows, and their arches, and their palm trees, thereafter the measurement, the gate that looked towards the east, and they that went up unto by 7 steps, and the arches thereof were before them. And the gate of the inner court was over against the gate towards the north and towards the east. And he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. After that he brought me towards the south, and behold, the gate towards the south. And he measured the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to these measurements. And there were windows in it, and the arches thereof around about, like those windows, the length of 50 cubits, and the breadth of 25 cubits. And there were 7 steps to go up to it, and the arches thereof were before them, and it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side, upon the post thereof. And there was a gate in the inner court towards the south, and he measured from gate towards gate, the south, and 100 cubits. Ouch! Don't bite me. And he brought to the inner court by the south gate, and he measured the south gate according to those measurements. And the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, according to those measurements. And there were windows in it, in the arch thereof around about. It was 50 cubits long, and 5 and 20 cubits broad. And the arches around about were 5 and 20 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were towards the utter court, and palm trees were upon the post thereof, and the going up to it had 8 steps. And he brought me to the inner court towards the east, and he measured the gates according to those measurements, and the little chambers thereof, and the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, are according to those measures. And there were windows therein, and in the arches thereof, around about it was 50 cubits long, and 5 and 20 cubits broad. And the arches thereof were towards the outward court, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that side, and the going up to it had 8 steps. And he brought me to the north gate, and measured it according to those measurements. The little chambers were of the posts thereof, and the arches thereof, and the windows to it around about the length of 50 cubits, and the breadth 5 and 20 cubits. The posts thereof were towards the utter court, and palm trees were upon the posts thereof, on this side and on that side, and the going up to it had 8 steps. The chamber and the entry thereof were by the post of the gate. There they washed and burnt offering, washed the burnt offering. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side, and 2 tables on that side, to slay thereon the burnt offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering. Alright, I gotta go take the cat out. Alright. 38. And the chambers and the entry thereof were by the post of the gates, where they washed the burnt offering. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side, and 2 tables on that side, to slay there on the burnt offering. I think I already read this part. And the sin offering, and the trespass offering. And at the side without, as one goeth up the entry of the north gate, were 2 tables, and the other side, which was at the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on that side, by the side of the gate. 8 tables whereon they slew their sacrifice. And the 4 tables were of hewn stone for the burnt offering, of 1.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits broad, and 1 cubit high. Thereupon also they laid the instrument therewith. They slew the burnt offering and the sacrifice. And within were hooks and hand broad fastened around about, and upon the tables was the flesh of the offering. And without the inner gate there was chambers of the singers in the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was towards the south, one at the side of the east gate, having the prospect towards the north. And he said unto me, This chamber, whose prospect is towards the south, is for the priests and the keepers of the charge of the house. And the chambers whose prospect is towards the north is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the altars. Those are the son of Zadok among the sons of Levi, which came near to the Lord to minister unto him. So he measured the court and 100 cubit long, and 100 cubit broad, foursquare, and the altar that was before the house. Now remember, we got the song out there, City Foursquare, right? And he brought me to the porch of the house, and measured each post of the porch 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on that side. And the breadth of the gate was 3 cubits on this side, and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the breadth 11 cubits. And he brought me by the steps whereby they went up to it, and there were pillars by the post, one on this side and one on that side. Okay, now we're going to look at Ezekiel 41. Now, if you don't know this, they have already got this temple built, or this building built, and they're just waiting to put it up. Okay, they may have already put it up. I ain't looked into it in probably
They built one somewhere and started
2
practicing.
years. Yeah, they done started building it.
Well, they started practicing
Yeah.
sacrifices.
And yeah, they started doing the sacrifices, trying to do the sacrifices. They had to find a red heifer.
Well, they need it but they still doing sacrifices like the dailies and all that.
Yeah.
That's the yearly, ain't it? The red heifer.
Yeah. They said they had to have the ashes from the old red heifer. I don't know if they ever found any, but
If they had to have them, if God really needed them, they would have been somewhere where.
yeah, they would be real easy to find. Oh well. Alright, here we go on. Ezekiel 41. Afterwards, he brought me to the temple and measured the posts 6 cubit broads on one side, and 6 cubit broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle, which is the tabernacle that Moses had, the tent. And the breadth of the floor was 10 cubits, and the side of the door were 5 cubits on one side, and 5 cubits on the other side. And he measured the length thereof 40 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. Then went he inward, and measured the post of the door 2 cubits, and the door of 6 cubits, and the breadth of the door 7 cubits. So they measured the length thereof 20 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits, before the temple. And he said unto me, This is the most holy place. After he measured the wall of the house 6 cubits, and the breadth of every side chamber 4 cubits, around about the house on every side. And the side chambers were 3, one over another, and 30 in order. And they entered into the wall which was of the house for the side of the chambers around about, that they might have held, but they had not hold in the wall of the house. And there was an enlarging of the winding about still upward to the side chambers, for the winding about of the house went still upward around about the house. Therefore the breadth of the house was still upward, so increased from the lowest chamber to the highest by the mist. And I saw also the height of the house around about, and the foundation of the side chambers were a full reed of 6 great cubits. The thickness of the walls, which were for the side chambers without, was 5 cubits, and that which was left was of the place of the side chambers that were within. And between the chambers were the wilderness of 40 cubits, the wideness of 20 cubits, around about the house on every side. And the doors of the side chambers were towards the place that was left, one door towards the north and another door towards the south, and the breadth of the place was left was 5 cubits around about. Now the building that was before the separate place at the east towards the west was 70 cubits broad, and the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick around about, and the length thereof 90 cubits. And he measured the house 100 cubits long, and the separate place, and the building with the walls thereof, and 100 cubits long. Also the breadth of the base of the house, and the separate place towards the east, 100 cubits. And he measured the length of the building over against the separate place, which was behind it, and the galleries thereof on the one side and on the other side, and 100 cubits, with the inner temple, and the porch of the court, and the doorpost, and the narrow windows, and the galleries around about on 3 stories over against the door, centered with the wood around about, and from the ground up to the windows, and the windows were covered to that above the door, even unto the inner house, and without, and by all the walls around about, within and without, by measure. And it was made with cherubims and palm trees, so that the palm trees was between the cherubims and a cherub. And every cherub had 2 faces, so that the face of a man was towards the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion towards the palm trees on the other side. It was made through all the house around about. From the ground unto the door were cherubims and palm trees made. And on the wall of the temple, the posts of the temple were squared, and the faces of the sanctuary, and the appearance of the one as the appearance of the other. The altar of wood was 3 cubits high, and the length thereof 2 cubits high, and the corners thereof, and the length thereof, and the walls thereof were of wood. And he said unto me, This is the table that is before the Lord. And the temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors, and the doors had 2 leaves apiece, 2 turning leaves, 2 leaves for the one door, and 2 leaves for the other door. And there were made on them, on the doors of the temple, cherubims and palm trees, like as were made unto the walls, and they were thick planks upon the face of the porch without. And there were narrow windows and palm trees on one side, and on the other side, on the side of the porch, and upon the side of the chambers of the house, and thick planks. All right, we'll read 42 next time. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hugs and kisses. How to donate to PayPal. You mash on Poor Man's Sewing, and then you come up here and you look for About, and you mash on About, and right here you hit on Donate to Poor Man's Sewing. It's people like you that help me out, and it is really appreciated. And I hope you many blessings in this hard times that we are fixing to go through. A lot of hugs and kisses to you.